We are stronger together.
Yeah. Hashtag. Stronger together. All right. That's our hashtag.
Yeah! At the end of the song, I want everybody to scream OCM, okay? OCM.
OCM. All right. To honor the ancestors that are in this ground by doing good while we are here, by honoring the women, by creating sovereign women, we create sovereign nations. Yeah.
Kutsnala ihui, Antan Sakolot, Antamana Santaya I Siatmak Slahot Siam, Anta Imith Quathon Sakolot, Quath Slahot Siam, Hait Sevka, Meet Sev Puitwilem, I Slahotmish, I Hamathpuyam, I Slawata Tamov. My dear relatives and friends, the feelings I have inside are really good to be with you here today. In my ancestral language called Downriver Hulkamelam or Humpkameetnam, I said to you, I shared with you my ancestral name. I carry the name Ansakhalot. I shared with you who my parents are and who my grandparents are. And we do that in case there's someone in the audience who would know my family. We'd have that instant connection and that instant sense of belonging. My parents are Ernie and Deanna George. My father is the current hereditary chief of my people. My grandparents are the late hereditary chief John L. George, who is one of the co-founders of the Union of BC Indian Chiefs. And in that circle, he's also called the Right Honorable. My grandmother was the late Lillian or Dolly George, and she was instrumental in the women's organization called the Indian Homemakers. It was the ancillary group to the Union of BC Indian Chiefs, and in those days, the women made sure that the chiefs knew which communities needed those social support systems, especially in the rural areas. I also said to you, on behalf of my relatives and friends of the Squamish, the Musqueam, the Tsleil-Waututh, we all welcome you here to our homelands and waters. And we mean that in a real, genuine way. I look out at you all and I think about the work that we are all doing, and we're all like a choir. How many of you are in a choir? You know what a choir is, right? There are different voices. There are the bass, the tenor, the alto, the soprano, and all the ones in between. And we're all singing the same song. What's missing is we're not singing the same chorus. We all need to be singing that, especially for those interveners that are going before the NEB. What's missing is I look at these signs and I know we're against pipelines. I know we want to protect the water. We want to protect the air. We want to save the fish. We want to make sure our environment is protected. But what's missing is a really integral part of the bigger piece of the puzzle, and that's the recognition and the acknowledgement of Aboriginal rights and title. Yes. And when we bring up this subject, people either cringe inside and go, holy crap, not this again. Or a lot of you are shaking your head saying, yeah. So what we need as Wellmo women, Slinslani, is for you to be out there in the grocery lineups, at the gas station, talking about that you recognize Indigenous people of this country need to be held up. In our Coast Salish way, when we honor people, we hold them up, we stand them up, because we know they're doing the work that needs to be done for the benefit of all of us. The work that the Tsleil-Waututh people, the Squamish people, the Homothquin people, and all the other Wellmo people in British Columbia, we don't do it just for our communities. We don't do it for our reserves or our bands. We are protecting the land that we come from. The name of my people is called Tsleil-Waututh. Do you know what that means? It means people of the inlet. And it refers to that body of water out there, all the way up the Indian Arm and the Indian River. The Homothquin means people of the grass, and it means that special Homothqui, the grass that only can be found on the Fraser River. It's really important that you understand that the names that First Nations have for their communities or their people is anchored to the land. And that can never be taken from us. And the fight that we carry on to protect will never end. So when Audrey speaks about thinking about the 7 generations ahead, that's the teaching of all Wellmo people. We don't think about us here and now. We think about those to come, because Glenn Goban from the Tulalip people stood up in the Energy Board hearings in October 2014 in Chilliwack, and he told the NEB panel, I stand here remembering that I was once a great-grandchild. Isn't that powerful? That 3 generations back, his great-great-grandparents were thinking about him being here in 2014. And that's what we do. But we do it for all people, because we all belong here. You all have laid roots down somewhere here. It's home to you. Well, that's what this entire inlet is for me. It's my home. And I have we have 5 beautiful grandchildren, my husband's out there somewhere, that we think about when we come out and do this work. Yesterday, I don't know if you're aware of it, but the Tsleil-Waututh had filed an early leave to appeal from the NEB, because we knew we weren't going to get anywhere in there. The Tsleil-Waututh like to cover all our bases, and we know we need to create a paper trail. So we, under duress, we applied and became interveners with the NEB. And as soon as we got the answer from the government that they weren't going to recognize us as a nation and negotiate with us or consult with us, we filed an early leave to appeal, and we were granted. So what happened was, in October last year, was our first day before the panel of 3 justices. And, you know, I don't really know exactly what happened. It's all legalese to me, but for some reason they couldn't get through that half day. We were only supposed to be half day together. We ended up taking the whole day, and then they had to find some room on their calendars to come back, because this issue is too frickin' complicated, and they just can't wrap their heads around it. But I think they are. I think they are, because yesterday the government, the federal government legal team filed a motion to adjourn our federal court of appeal for 3 months. Trans Mountain was livid. They were going to vehemently oppose that, but they didn't. Tsleil-Waututh, we were kind of wondering, okay, where's the government going with this? And so we thought, okay, maybe this might be in our best interest, so we supported it. And what happened is, the reason for the adjournment that the legal representative was telling the Chief Justice was so that the government can work on reconciling with the Tsleil-Waututh. So we read that as a nation-to-nation consultation, and that's what our Chief Maureen put in our press release. Like, it's about time. We are hopeful. We're not going to hold our breath, but that's where we need you. We need you to hold us up. Kwelmo people, you need to understand that the First Nations people here aren't going to do to you what the ancestors in the past have done to us. That is just wrong. On all kinds of human levels, that's wrong, and that's not what Kwelmo people grow up with. Those are the values that we do not hold in our hearts. You all know that really rosy, peachy part of history, that our people welcomed you here, your people, with open arms. We took care of them. We helped them survive the winters, when we did have winters. And now we need you to help us. And that's what I request of you. If you don't know enough about First Nations, that's okay, because the education system was designed not to teach you Canada's dark, sordid history. You have 3 amazing women here that are more than willing to go to your community groups, to your school groups, and share with you our history. And make sure that you don't feel guilty about it, because it's not yours to hold on to. But it's your responsibility to help move us out of it. Capiche? I just want to say thank you to all the organizers for coming here, and for all the community groups that are here, because as Shaman so eloquently put it, we are stronger together. And that's our hashtag for Sacred Trust Initiative. Hashtag we are stronger together. I need you, you need me. Let's get a chorus together and sing the same chorus. Ossian. I love that. You guys could keep screaming OCM for the rest of the day. That'd be great. You know, there was a time when First Nations people, we weren't allowed to speak publicly like this. We weren't allowed to have more than 4 First Nations people in one house together. If they found us drumming and singing and speaking our language and wearing our regalia and teaching our children our culture, we were arrested. But today, we are right here. We're sharing with you. We're sharing with you how important it is and how much we love this place, and we're standing here together. It's such a beautiful day to hear all of you screaming our language. I'd like to thank the orgs for making the time to acknowledge the First Nations people. I'd like to thank Ansatolot and Audrey for taking the time out of your busy life to be here today, because we know it's important to show up. We have to always be here. We always have to share our Coast Salish hospitality. Welcome the people to our land.
share with them, bring them into our houses and share a meal. Tell them about our families. Tell them about our history. That's what we want to do. We want to create a big, huge community. So thank you for taking the time to be here today.
That's groups like Pipe Up, and on the North Shore it's NOPE, and here in Burnaby it's BROKE, or Burnaby Residents Opposing Kinder Morgan Expansion. And I'd like to welcome to the stage Carl Perrin, spokesperson from BROKE, as our next speaker.